Chairman, Mr. Speaker, Chairman. Chairman, I want to ask the nominee.
I gave the latitude to your colleague. Now, muulize swali moja moja.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One is a general question. Chairman, I want to remind the nominee or to inform him that in the last 2.5 years, he will be the third minister for agriculture. There was one who came at the beginning, second one came, we vetted him, you are the third one we are vetting. If you are approved by this house, you to become the minister for agriculture. And the last one we vetted, I asked him a question. I told him, do you know what you're getting into? He told me, yes, I know. I want to ask you also, do you know what you're getting into that ministry? You need to tell me more what you think of that. The second issue is the people or the ministry concentrates so much on agriculture and normally forgets about livestock. And in many countries in the world, their GDP growth is even contributed much higher by livestock than agriculture. What do you think you will do in the livestock sector so that the GDP, the livestock sector can contribute to the GDP of the country? And what is your position on the vaccine that's being proposed to give to livestock in this country? What do you think it is? Or how will you implement it? Or what are your views on that thing?
Point of order.
Yes.
I think if you allowed 3 questions, because many of the questions, you will easily answer them with, many responses.
Yes, that's what I was going to do.
Okay.
Posing.
Thank you, Chairman, Speaker. To the nominee, Honorable Mutahi Kagwe. Following what Honorable Junet said, many people think that the Minister of Agriculture is crops, forgetting the bigger, which is livestock. My question will be, what will you do, particularly the pastoralist people, who keep a lot of animals, but during let's say, drought or something like that, they lose all of them. What will you think, or what will you do, or what will you tell them to listen, that even before drought, for example, that you can buy all of these animals, and then give them money to wait until drought goes, then you bring number 2. You are going to be Minister of Agriculture. Where is agriculture? There's no agriculture in national level, in my view. If you look at also first schedule of the Constitution, agriculture is devolved. So when you are minister for who or for what at national level? Are you going to be marketing officer of agriculture, or what is it? And yet agriculture is at level. My proposal will be, or what I want to hear from you, what nexus or structure, legal structures or implementable structures that will be between you yourself and the counties. Because without counties government, without county people, agriculture will just be almost, at national level, it will be a talk show if you don't bring in counties in terms of implementation. Thank you, Chairman.
Nelson.
Thank you very much. Many commentators, Mr. Honorable Mutahi, believe that you did actually handle the COVID-19 quite brilliantly. But however, there are questions and of misappropriation, massive theft at that time, particularly in Kemsa. There are cases that have been handled by this House, particularly by the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, and I just want to draw your attention to a few of them. Number 1 is a question on expenditure of 2 billion on budgeted items in breach of regulation in 2015. Rather, Regulation 2015 requiring public officers to act in the government's interest to be aware on essentials of vote control process. There's also single sourcing of COVID masks supplied contrary to Section 69(2) of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. I will not highlight all of them, but most importantly also was the acquisition, nominee on vaccines. It is believed that you failed to account on the procurement of 1.6 billion worth of vaccines, and it is still a subject of investigation by this House. What do you have to say about all that was said at that time, that there was a lot of misappropriation in Kemsa? Number 2, I come from an area which predominantly grows tea, and I want to hear And I will like to read, so that I don't misadventure, that tea prices in Mombasa auction were on a downward trend in 2022, forcing the government to establish a minimum reserve price of USD 2.6 for the teas from the east of the rift and the USD 2.4 for teas from the west of the rift. This initiative was aimed at stabilizing the market and addressing the declining tea prices at the Mombasa auction. However, the current pricing structure has resulted in several millions of teas being unsold, thus resulting in stagnating warehouses and facilities. What strategies will you implement to alleviate the situation? Additionally, is government interference in this manner necessary in a free market, and how can it be balanced to ensure market stability without causing adverse effects? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable nominee, I sit in a Committee of Environment and Forestry, where climate change is a huge topic. And most of the time, whenever we go around, over and above the environmental issues, farmers do ask about this climate change, which affects agriculture, crop, eat, livestock, and things like that. And the issue that always comes is that they don't have any information as to, initially we used to know Kenya, by around February you start preparing your land for purposes of planting and things like that, but it is no longer. So what policy are you going to put in place to try and address the climate change issue which is affecting agriculture? And lastly, Chair, it's about somebody has just asked me from the constituency regarding what is your view on this livestock vaccination, the debate that is going on. What is your view? Thank you, Chair.
Answer those from
Thank you.
Honorable Junet down to Gekaria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me start by answering the Honorable Junet's question, which relates also to one that had been asked by the majority leader about the 2 to 3 years, which because they are kind of the same, because I'm the third minister. First of all, of course, is to say that I've been happy to serve, no matter how the period, you're happy to serve, because the idea is to make a difference. And sometimes it is not how the length of time that you do a job in, it is what you put into the time that you have got that you can make a difference in. I have no idea why 2 years into government, I was invited by the 3 previous, including the current president, because obviously they are the appointing authorities. But I want to answer your question, and perhaps relate it to also to Honorable Koeshi's question. You asked me whether I know what I'm getting myself into. And from the questions that you have heard from Honorable